Welcome on back, ladies and gentlemen. In this one today, we're going to be doing another top 5 zombies video. For this one, it's going to be the top 5 worst pistols in COD Zombies. For this video, we will be doing the pistols from Treyarch games only, and we will not be including any base starting pistols, because then this whole list would just be starting pistols. And for whenever we do weapons, we always have to include criteria. And for these rankings, they are going to be the damage, or overall how effective each bullet is at killing zombies, the ease of use, or how easy it is to use the weapon in terms of mobility, reload times, and fire rate, the accessibility, or how easy it is to obtain the weapon, the point generation, or how easy it is to generate points with the gun, and the overall ammo. Real quick before we start as well, go down below the video and press the subscribe button. It helps out the channel a lot. Now, let's jump right into the list. Coming in at our number 5 spot, we have the RK7 from Black Ops 4. Now, the only big redeeming factor to this weapon is that it's very accessible. It's both a weapon that you can spawn in with, and it's also a wall weapon that's somewhat reasonable with the price. It does cost more than the RK5, which does make it slightly inferior when it comes to accessibility, but it's still much better than most of the other weapons in COD Zombies. When it comes to the damage, it's not that great, especially compared to the other weapons that you can spawn in with in Black Ops 4, like the Strife or the SOG. The RK7 is in a weird spot where it isn't used often when spawning into the game, because the Strife with the stiletto knife is a much better option, and it's not better in later game because the damage can't compete with most other weapons in Black Ops 4 or just zombies in general. When it comes to the ammo, once again, it isn't that good, and it can be fixed with Bandolier Bandit, but compared to the other 3-round burst pistols in zombies, it's not that great when it comes to the overall ammo. But the worst factor with this weapon is the ease of use. The point generation with this gun also sits in a weird area because most of the burst weapons in zombies are designed to do a lot of damage to individual targets and aren't the best when it comes to making points. The RK7, however, isn't too bad at making points, but once again, why would you ever resort to using this weapon when you can just pick up the Strife to knife zombies instead, especially when it comes to Black Ops 4's point system. The movement is solid because it is a pistol and it can compete with other pistols when it comes to the movement speed, but the 3-round burst is very annoying, especially on a weapon that is designed to move really quickly. Burst weapons in general aren't that loved, especially in zombies, because they just make the gun feel more annoying because of the lack of accuracy and the amount of ammo that you can run through without having to buy more. Overall, when it comes to the RK7, there are just better options in Black Ops 4 to kill zombies and make points. The only good part is that it's really good when it comes to accessibility, and the ammo is somewhat decent. But overall, there are just so many better options when it comes to pistols. So for that, the RK7 is coming in at our number 5 spot. Moving to our number 4 spot, we have the B23R. This weapon is very similar to the RK7, where it's just another 3-round burst weapon that's fairly accessible, but the B23R is worse in almost every way. First, with accessibility, the wall buy is very accessible on a map like Transit, but it costs more points, and the B23R isn't a weapon that you can spawn in with. Not only that, but without Bandolier Bandit or some other way to increase the ammo without a pack-a-punch ability, the B23R is also inferior when it comes to the ammo as well. The damage is very similar to the RK7, which for Black Ops 2 isn't that good because it once again falls into a weird area where it's inferior to almost every gun in the game in the later rounds, and in the early rounds it isn't as good as some of the more accessible weapons like the M14 or the MP5, which also makes it bad when it comes to generating points as well, because the MP5 is the same price and it's a much better option because it's fully automatic and holds more ammo overall. The only redeeming factor to this pistol is that it's a pistol, which makes it easy to move around with and generally really solid with reload times as well. Overall, the B23R is the inferior version of the RK7 because it's less accessible, has less ammo, and doesn't serve much of a purpose in zombies because there's so many better options, especially for 1,000 points. You have a better chance hitting the box or just buying the MP5 off of the wall. So for that, we're going to put the B23R at our number 4 spot. Coming into our number 3 spot, we have the single 5.7 pistol in Black Ops 2. Now, this pistol is very good when put into dual-wield form, but just as a single pistol, it's not that great. The damage is okay, not better than some other semi-auto weapons and pistols, and definitely not enough to take you into the later 15s and 20s. At the most, this pistol is best on round 10, but by then you don't really need this pistol, or you already have a better option, whether it be a better weapon or a better wonder weapon. When it comes to making points, it's not that good either because the fire rate is very slow, even compared to the 3-round burst pistols that we've discussed. It just doesn't match up as a reliable weapon at making points. It is a wall weapon, so it does have some accessibility value, but the price is super expensive. For a gun that lacks this much power, you would expect it to be around 700 points, maybe 1,000, but the pistol on the wall on Origins costs 1,100 points, which is more than the B23R, and in my opinion, it's just worse. On earlier rounds, the B23R is going to be a little bit more helpful, especially on a map like Transit, while the 5.7 is going to be harder to obtain, and once you're ready to obtain it, there are just so many better options that cost around the same amount of points, like the MP5, the AK-74U, and the MP40, that it just makes this gun feel useless. The only redeeming factor is the ease of use. The gun, once again, is a pistol, so it's easy to move around the map with and reload, and I do like the semi-automatic weapons more than the burst fire weapons because you can have more control over the ammo and the accuracy of the weapon. Overall, the 5.7 is just an overpriced, mediocre pistol that fails to capture any use because of the lack of damage and point generation compared to most other weapons in its price range, as well as it just being a bad overall weapon to use compared to the vast majority of guns that are in Black Ops 2. And while the dual-wield 5.7s are actually really effective, the single just sits in an odd spot that isn't worth purchasing, so for that, we're going to put it at our number 3 spot. Now moving to our number 2 spot, we have the CZ75 in Black Ops 1. This pistol is pretty much the Black Ops 1 equivalent of the 5.7 from Black Ops 2, except it's much worse in many ways. First of all, there's no wall buy for this weapon, which makes it worse in terms of accessibility compared to the 5.7. Not only that, but the damage isn't much better either. Whenever using this pistol, it just feels like a slightly improved version of the M1911. The ammo is decent for this pistol, and it's all around the same as the 5.7, but once again, it's not that helpful because there's no wall buy, so you can't just go and buy more. In terms of ease of use, it's about the same as the 5.7 since it shoots just as fast, has good handling, and is quick to move around the map with, but it still is a semi-automatic pistol, which does make it a little bit more annoying to use compared to a lot of weapons that you can get out of the box in both Black Ops 1 and Zombies as a whole. The only redeeming factor and why this gun isn't coming in at our number 1 spot is because of the point generation. On Black Ops 1, this gun does just enough damage and shoots fast enough to generate a lot more points than most of the other guns that we talked about on this list, which does make it slightly better in one way compared to the 5.7. Overall, this pistol is useless for most people because you have to rely on box luck to get it, which sucks. Not only that, but the damage isn't that good, even when you have the dual-wield version of this gun, and in terms of ammo, it's on the Black Ops 1 system, which for some reason nerfed a good majority of the guns in terms of max amount of ammo that it holds. I would put it at number 1, but in terms of handling and point generation, it wouldn't be fair, so for that, it's coming in at our number 2 spot. And coming in at our number 1 spot, we have the Magnum from COD World at War. Now, this pick is a little bit more biased compared to the other guns on this list that we have discussed so far. The reason I'm putting the Magnum at number 1 is because of the handling of this weapon. I don't know if it's something with the World at War systems being very old and limited with the animation, but this gun just feels weird and awkward to use. The iron sights are horrible, and it's almost impossible to see anything out of this gun when aiming down the sights, but it's also a 6-shooter, which does make it slower to reload compared to a lot of the other pistols in Zombies. Not only that, but the accessibility is horrible with this weapon as well. You can only get it out of the box, and I'm never too excited to see this weapon whenever it does pop up. The ammo isn't anything to brag about either because the gun suffers a lot when it comes to the overall ammo compared to other revolver-like pistols in Zombies like the Python or the Executioner. Another horrible thing about this weapon is the point. Every other pistol that we've discussed on this list is is really good or somewhat decent at making points. The Magnum, however, is focused on taking out individual targets, which makes it horrible for points because of the high damage and slow fire rate. Which brings us to the only redeeming factor when it comes to this weapon, that being the damage. The damage is solid compared to a lot of other guns in zombies, but compared to guns that are similar like the Python or Executioner, it just doesn't hold up. On World at War, there isn't Double Tap 2.0 to increase this weapon's firepower, which does hurt it a lot, but even if there was, it still wouldn't be better than most of the high damaging weapons that are on the same class of pistol. Overall, the Magnum is a horrible gun for making points in the early rounds, a bad option to run around with because of the clunky nature the gun has on the World at War systems. It's an even worse option when it comes down to just getting the weapon in the first place because you have to hit the box multiple times. The only somewhat redeeming factor with this gun is the damage, but even then there are so many better options to deal damage in the later rounds that just render this weapon useless and therefore bringing it to our number 1 spot. Anyways guys, it's going to wrap up the video for today. If you did enjoy, leave a like, subscribe, do all that. Leave your comments down below if you want to see me do any other type of content. Check down the description as well for more zombie related videos. And yeah, I got nothing much else to say, so peace.